Welcome guys, today I'm going to talk about the absolute best case scenario for Republicans in 2022, and I will also make the opposite video soon for Democrats as well. Let's finally start. In this scenario, Democrats will be in an awful position in the Senate, and even more in the House in this red wave scenario. So let's begin with a solid blue Senate seats. Even in this case, those would be Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, New York, Vermont, Connecticut, and Maryland. Let me see if I'm forgetting any. Oh yeah, Georgia's seat is occupied by John Ossoff. For the solid red states, those would be Idaho, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma, Alaska, almost forgot about them, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and South Carolina. The only one that could drop here maybe could be Alaska with Lisa Murkowski, since she might face opposition from a new Trump candidate and she might become an independent, especially if Trump, forces her out from the Republican Party. But even then, it's still gonna vote for her due to the ranking voting system. And for Democrats, their safe states, only ones that could drop are Washington and Oregon, just due to the fact that lower turnout rate could just make this state a bit tighter, but even then it's still gonna go for them. As you can see, this brings the solid state baseline for both parties to 44 Democrats against 46 Republicans. Now getting tighter for the likely Democratic seats between 5 to 15%. And the only one here is actually Illinois. Illinois in the past decades has been pretty solid for the Democrats, but as seen in 2020, a year that many states moved a bit to the left, it was one of the few that moved to the right, just barely, and with a minority population moving out slowly. Combined with a red wave case, it would just barely make this Senate seat likely for the Democrats and not safe unlike these other seats. And it kind of would be a repetition of 2014 in which it went for the Democrats by 12%, so I wouldn't be surprised if it would be similar to that. While for the likely GOP, there aren't many, but those are Florida, North Carolina, and one that might drop a little bit but would not be surprised, and I'm gonna put it as a likely state, Wisconsin. So for North Carolina, this state has lost a part of its Republican essence throughout the years recently, but in this scenario with low Democratic turnout, the Republican vote and the white vote would be extremely powerful, and combined with poor opposition approval from Democrats, they could take advantage of this and become a likely state, even with Richard Burr and a Republican incumbent retiring. While in Wisconsin, the incumbent Republican senator, Ron Johnson, has said he might run for a third term or might not. He's still on the fence about that, but in a red wave case, I would think he would want to run, since it would just be an easy election for him. And in this case, even if he does not decide to run and just decides to retire, the category would probably just likely drop down a bit to like a lean, but apart from that, in this case, it would go for them by a margin that Republicans would like to see. Lastly, Florida. It's a fun state to talk about. I would put it as a likely state in this video. There has been a lot of talks of someone primarying Marco Rubio from Trump's faction, which would not surprise me a lot. Maybe even Ivanka, if she falls out with Rubio, would be quite an easy win for her, and having a Trump ally like her in the Senate would be quite useful and helpful for her dad, Donald Trump, of course. As you can see from the table, it would mean that the solid and likely states would be at 45 for Democrats versus 49 for the Republicans. And in this scenario, this is where the red wave really starts to become more and more apparent. Let's go to this section next. This is where things start to get quite competitive. Okay, so for New Hampshire, which is a state to look out for no matter what happens in 2022. Chris Sununu, a respected and popular Republican governor of New Hampshire, has interest in running for Senate in 2022. And if he does decide to run, especially with a red wave, he would win here, maybe with a likely margin, but most likely like a lean margin. And even if there's no big red wave in 2022, he will still give a run for their money to the Democratic nominee. While for Nevada, in a non-wave election for neither side, I wouldn't expect it to flip, but it has always been quite a weak state for Democrats since Obama in the 2010s, with them just barely scraping through and winning here. And with a red wave, it just would not hold for them, and Republicans would inevitably win here with any basic candidate, really. Now in Pennsylvania, depending on who are the candidates of both parties, this could either be a lean or a tilt state for the GOP in this case. They could try to repeat what they did in 2016, but even then, it wouldn't be as big, but it's still good enough for them, since they wouldn't be riding on the coattails of Trump, since he wouldn't be on the ballot. But if Democrats have division in the primaries, that could help Republicans quite a lot, and even make this state easier for them to win, which is why I'm gonna put it as a lean state. Okay, so Colorado, it has had a history of having Republicans in the Senate before, and the House as well, while also, voting blue for the presidential level. But even in a red wave case, it wouldn't vote red since too many people from California, New York, and Illinois have moved here, and just made the Democratic stronghold here stronger, and even strong enough to defend against a red wave, which is why I'm going to put it as a lean state. Okay, now, while in Georgia, in Raphael Warnock's seats, if Democrats are doing bad, approval-wise and just everything, combined with a low turnout, then that will easily hurt his re-election campaign by a lot. And with a Republican wave year, you could even put Kelly Loeffler and win, but other Republicans would be more of a smart strategic option by far, in my opinion. And no matter what happens 2022, if Republicans don't win here in 2022 or in 2024 for the presidency, it's only going to get harder and harder for them to win, and they need to grab here at least one more time to prolong their power in Georgia. And you can't forget that this is also due to the fact that there's a lot of migration from the colder places of the country, and really mostly the Rust Belt here. And minorities are just moving out from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, are moving to states like North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Texas even. There's a lot of migration coming from Texas and from California to Texas, New York. Which is why we've been seeing Texas become less Republican, but it will still be pretty Republican for at least this first half of this decade. But going back to Georgia, this is why I'm going to put it as a lean state, and I don't know why I didn't put Nevada. Sorry about that. Now for the last and the most razor-thin state in 2022 by far, in my opinion. That would be Arizona. The GOP over here has been quite divided between the anti-Trump and the pro-Trump faction, which has turned off voters from voting for them. And in this case, they would have to unite and actually put a good candidate, unlike Martha McSally, who outstandingly lost the Senate seats, both of them, by herself in 2020 and 2018, I think. You can put basically anyone except her, and with a red wave they can just barely win here with a tilt margin, actually. And the only way they can win here by a bigger margin is if the Republican candidate gets endorsed by the McCain family. But I doubt that at the moment, unless something big happens in Arizona. But I still give Arizona to the Republicans, even with the migration that's coming here from blue states. Okay, as you can see in this 2022 midterm red wave scenario, Republicans would win back the Senate with a strong and significant 54 seats for the GOP versus 46 seats for Democrats. If Democrats don't feel good candidates, or their ratings drop, or if they have low turnout, or whatever it is, it would pave a way for Republicans to take back the Senate, even for maybe the rest of this decade even. And furthermore, if you look back or look forward to the 2024 Senate map, you can see that it's pretty favorable for Republicans, since there's going to be a lot more Democratic seats up versus Republicans, and they can take advantage of this even more. Whether Democrats lose the Senate in 2022, they're almost likely going to lose it in 2024 if things don't go well for them. And in this scenario, in a red wave in 2022, that would put Republicans with 54 seats. Like, they could take advantage of this and maybe even go up to 55, since 2024 is going to be, in the Senate, it's going to be pretty favorable for Republicans at the moment. On the other hand, before I finish this video, I cannot do this video without talking about the House. If Democrats lose the Senate by this margin, they will of course lose the House by a significant margin as well. Even bigger than the Senate. In this case, since they are already poised, Democrats are already poised to lose the House in 2022, no matter if they have a good year. And overall, Republicans are poised to take back the House, either with no wave or just a small red wave or a small blue wave. It's going to be really hard for Democrats to keep the House due to how tight the House is for them. In my opinion, I just don't see Democrats keeping a hold of the House in 2022. And with midterms in the House, it's going to be even easier for Republicans to win it back. And really, the only way that Democrats keep the House somehow in 2022 is if Republicans and Trumpicans have a schism. I have stated before, a faction like, I don't know, the Romney Republicans split away, but as of right now, Republican House Leader Kevin McCarthy must really feel pretty optimistic of 2022. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. This was my red wave and best case scenario for Republicans in 2022 midterm Senate analysis. Please like, subscribe, and share, and see you next time. Bye.